On today's episode of the DNVR Nuggets Podcast, we're going to break down the schedule in detail. What is the best shot of the longest win streak? What's the toughest month and the toughest stretch for the Nuggets? What narrative weeks will arise? We're also going to look at Jamal Murray's best shots of his entire career, and we're going to ask a couple things that are more or less likely to happen this season. This is DNVR Nuggets. My favorite fake day of the year. A lot of these fake days. This is my favorite one. Schedule day.
Does schedule day go in the schedule?
It does. I had it on my schedule. What is everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show. Live from Studio B. But you know what? We'll still call it the Toyota Lounge. Driven by Front Right Trader Stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It is schedule day. It has dropped 82-0. I just went through it. I went through one game at a time, and I saw it. I think it's an 82-0 year.
Listen, a lot of people accuse us of copium, cheerleading.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. My honest analysis, 82-0.
They don't lose. There's not a single one. In all sincerity, it's funny, man. You know this. The schedule brings out two types of people. Way too excited for the schedule, you know, like, which is us. Like, let's be honest, we just spent a whole hour going line by line and everything. And then the people that want you to know that they think the schedule is not important. They want you to know that. Yeah,
listen, the thing about a daily sort of news cycle and podcast, like,
where are we?
We're doing the thing. Like, we're here to get too excited about the things that normal people don't. But so that's why you're here, and you know it.
1,000%. So let's get with the first basics of it. The Nuggets have 22 nationally televised games. We're not counting NBA TV. That doesn't count, especially because here in Denver, you can't get those games. So those are like worse than nationally televised.
A really good point. Yeah,
they're like the toughest ones to get. But 11 of those are on ESPN, 7 of those are on TNT, 4 of those are on ABC. I'm not sure. I think Harrison is watching along and he's doing some research here. He'll let us know where that ranks in the NBA. If you see it in the chat, you can let us know as well. But 22 nationally televised games. It feels, until I see the final number, it feels a little lower. Feels like the Nuggets maybe a little lower than I thought.
Lower than you expected.
That's 1/4 of their games are on national television. I guess that's quite a bit.
Yeah, I actually thought it was pretty substantial. And I thought it was pretty interesting who they're playing on these national TV games. But I think, look, Denver is still in the top 5 teams the NBA is trying to sell you. They're going to play opening night. They're playing on Christmas. They get all these national TV games. But I'm sure those who sort of have their eyes on the sort of fluid, like, market rankings, if you will.
Right.
Is Denver, does they have a secure place the way they did a year or two ago? Just the way last year went. Maybe they're no longer like the top sell, but clearly they're still in the forefront of the NBA's mind when it comes to opening night, Christmas, getting them on national TV. They're still a product. They're still part of what the NBA is selling.
Yeah, they're not on, though, if I'm not mistaken. So they open Oklahoma City. That is a TNT game. So they are part of this opening night. So they don't play. The season starts on Tuesday. Then it goes to Wednesday is the ESPN opening. So Tuesday is TNT. Then that's the real opening night. There's 2 games. Then there's a Wednesday opening. It's like where everybody else plays. The Nuggets are going to be the last team to play.
Right.
Doesn't really mean anything. It's just like, it is weird, though. I think it doesn't mean anything to us now, but I do think when Monday rolls around and everyone's all excited the night before Christmas and we're like, we have 72 hours still.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But no, I mean, I still think like, while Denver probably is, I mean, look, Boston has fully taken their spot as, I think, the obvious, like, where you start in terms of selling it. Because they're champs. But look, I think the schedule still reflects that, at least for now, Denver's still in the inner circle of, like, they've got motion. Jokic has motion, and it looks like the NBA knows that.
So we wondered about a Russell Westbrook because he has a couple X's, you know? Game number 1 of the season, Oklahoma City at Denver. That's sort of, I mean, I know he hasn't been there for a while, but he's most known as a Thunder. That game obviously carries an enormous amount of intrigue. I think it's a great first game for Denver. I think it'll be a really fun one. And then immediately after that, the Clippers, his former team. So he has 2 reunions in 2 days as he starts with the Denver Nuggets.
That's a great point. I think I like this. I think we want Russ coming in and just kicking the door down.
Yeah.
Just Kool-Aid Man announcing his arrival. I'm into this. I like the Thunder. It's tough to go straight from the Thunder to the Clippers, but at least you're at home.
What do you mean it's tough?
Well, I just mean as far as your first 2 games of the season.
Clippers are great, especially in the first week when everyone's healthy. And
no, that's precisely what I mean.
Okay.
I'm saying I could conceive of an easier one of 2 games to start the year. At least they're at home, though. So Denver will need to be sharp out of the gate. And also, we'll talk about this more, but I think out of the gate is their best opportunity to actually kind of pick up some ground.
So I have it of the official rankings here, and this is courtesy of Andrew Schlecht, and hat tip to Harrison for getting this to me. Nationally televised games excluding NBA TV. The Lakers are number 1 at 29.
All right.
That makes sense. They always get it. I mean, it's kind of dumb, but whatever. Boston Celtics 26 makes sense.
Makes tons of sense.
Golden State to me actually makes sense. This is the power of Steph Curry. Big, huge market, and Steph Curry is still the most popular player, so it makes sense. And the Knicks 24 also makes sense. Biggest market.
These are your big
They're
markets. Good. 3 of those, 2 of those teams are good.
Who's not good? The Warriors and Lakers,
they're not as good as the Celtics and the Knicks right now. But obviously, all 4 of those markets being near the top is unsurprising.
So really, what you're looking at is Dallas at 23 and Denver at 22. And Dallas, look, they went to the finals.
It's also a sneaky big market.
We can't even be mad. What's wrong with us?
It's a sneaky big sports market.
We used to be so indignant at all times.
I know. Well,
did they get it right?
Denver did this one to themselves.
They
I
really
actually think
did.
they're exactly where they should be.
I think they are
to
too.
be honest, I think they're exactly where they should be.
Because they're ahead of Philadelphia.
Right.
And they're ahead of Phoenix, which is kind of surprising.
And Minnesota still.
It feels wrong not to have the righteous indignation.
I know.
Wow, they got it right.
I kind of think they got it just right. Yeah.
Do you want to look at Milwaukee down there? 17. I mean, Milwaukee is really off the radar in ways that, 17 is still a lot, but it's down there, in that territory.
Look, man, Milwaukee is our cautionary tale. Milwaukee's what we don't want to be.
No, we do
not.
not.
Coming off that title.
Yeah. Then you have OKC. San Antonio at 13 is funny. And then the list drops off after that. Everybody else under in single digits. Although I will say last year, famously, the Indiana Pacers, 0 nationally televised games. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They had 0. This year they have 9. So shouts to them. Everybody has at least 1, which is kind of fun. Washington and Toronto and Portland, they each get Detroit, Charlotte, and Brooklyn each get 1 nationally televised game.
Sure, why not?
I wonder if any of those are against Denver. I'm actually now curious if Denver has any of those.
Of those teams, I don't think
Probably
they do.
not.
No.
Maybe Portland would be the only one.
But that's the other thing I was going to say. Going back to the national TV games, is who Denver's going to get a lot of chances to play in the national spotlight here, and I think it's relevant. Obviously, the national TV schedule it's going to include some heavy hitters,
right?
But just for example, Wolves and Nuggets, I think, are obviously 2 teams out west that are going to get compared right now. Wolves just prevailed in 7. Denver beat them the year before, go on to win the title, same division.
Yeah.
All 4 of their games this year are on national TV.
Great job by the league, by the way. This is how you build rivalry.
Yes.
You make it as most accessible, and people are like, oh, that's right. Those are the 2 teams that don't like each other.
That's
and,
right. And I think I do think this is a thread you want to pull on.
Totally do.
Especially because I think Ant is conducive to rivalry style. Like he's going to talk a lot, and we're going to hate it. So I really like that. And also, if you remember, maybe it was last year, the year before, like 3 of the 4 times the Nuggets played the Wolves, it was on back-to-backs.
Yeah.
This year, only 2 of them are, and it's on the front end. So you won't see Denver coming in necessarily exhausted, which is nice. And then they have multiple games against Phoenix, the Lakers, the Thunder, the Warriors. So now the Warriors are maybe not.
Both Boston games televised.
Both Boston games televised.
Do you know why this is important? Because I think the NBA needs to preview potential finals matchups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you need to. So the fact that they have both Boston games, that tells me that they still have some faith that it might be Denver-Boston.
It's the best matchup we haven't gotten in the last 2 years in the playoffs. They've been good games in the regular season. So both Boston games are televised. And then again, against the Phoenix and the Lakers and OKC. So look, you'd think this is the case with a national stage, but I think narratively, a lot is in Denver's hands this year. They're going to have a lot of chances to take care of business against teams in front of a large audience.
My initial impression of the overall schedule is that it feels pretty balanced. Like, there's some years where you look at it and it looks really, really unbalanced. It looks balanced. But here's how I would break it down. If we were going to award easy, medium, and hard sections. What was wrong?
Also, 555 pointing out for the first time ever, Giannis Jokic is a national TV game as well.
That's the first time. I mean, do you remember they always would miss that for some reason? So dumb. So if we were to wrench the easiest portion of the schedule, and we broke this just into the beginning, middle, and end, and if we broke those into hardest, easiest, and the middle one, I would say the opening portion of the schedule is by far the easiest. Not to say that it's easy, but I think this is interesting. Last year, it was hard to open the year.
Yeah.
This year, it's pretty easy. You start, okay, it's tough. Thursday, Oklahoma City. Saturday, the Clippers. That's tough because, they're two good teams, but you are at home. You go on the road at Toronto, at Brooklyn, at Minnesota. Never easy to go on a road trip, but Toronto and Brooklyn are likely play-in teams. You get that road trip out. And then you come home and you have a 5-game homestand. Time for their longest homestand. It's Utah, which is, again, tough, but should be the easier of those teams.
At home.
Toronto at home, which again should be not a good team. Oklahoma City's tough. Miami's tough. Dallas is tough, but they're at home and none of them are on a back-to-back. So you look at that and go, Denver has a light, spaced out schedule, and at least half of the games Denver will be like heavily favored in. So to me, it's kind of interesting because we don't know how this season's going to start for Denver, but the first 10 games on the schedule are like, okay, that's not the hardest way to start.
And some of the better teams they're playing, they're getting them at home. And like you said, not on back-to-back. So if I remember correctly, last year they had a nice stretch in the middle that was bracketed by tougher stretches. And it feels like it played out that way as well.
Right.
They did a lot of eating in the middle. And then it was, are they going to hold on? I think this year they would benefit more. Look, you want to win every game.
Yeah.
Silly analysis. But I think this year they would benefit from sprinting, hitting the ground running, and just being ready to pick up wins early before it gets a little harder.
What's interesting about that is this is the team that's maybe least positioned for that. We talk about this is the year with the least amount of continuity, the biggest X factor in Russell Westbrook, entering the equation, Dario Saric. And on top of that, Murray's always a slow starter, this or that. I look at the schedule and go, Denver has a schedule that is designed for a team that hits the ground running. Are they going to be that? I don't know how hard players look at this. In fact, I don't think they look at it at all. Do you think Yoke's seen the schedule yet?
Probably not.
Probably not. He probably is not going to look at it until October 23rd.
Is it 10 p.m. in Serbia right now? Is it 10 p.m.?
Yeah, it's about 10 p.m.
Yeah, he's not looking at the schedule.
But I do think if you were trying to strategically look at this, you would say, hey, there's a golden opportunity. And if you start this year 5-5, even though that's not a bad record and whatever, it would feel like a missed opportunity because of how many gimmies there are in that stretch. So for me, I definitely think Denver should look at that start of the schedule and say there's an opportunity. And I know later on we're going to talk about best chance for a 10-game win streak. It might literally be the first 10 games of the year. So we'll keep that in mind. I think the end of the season is medium. I would say if you looked at the months of March and April, there's tough games, not the most back-to-backs. It's not the most condensed, but it isn't also easy. Like there's nothing easy in there where you're like, oh, that's a guaranteed 5 wins. But it's also not brutal. You look at it and go, okay, if they're in good form, they should be able to close the season well and make a run.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get a couple of games with Houston and Portland and Utah at home. Like, these are games you should win. But you also have at Boston at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
All right, guys, they're losing by 20.
Yeah.
Two games in a row, back-to-back at OKC.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Tough teams, when you play them twice like that, I actually think it's a benefit to the road team.
You're right. It's harder to...
Because you're not traveling. So, like, one of those will feel like a road game, and the other one will feel like, oh, yeah, we slept in the same place 3 nights in a row.
Well, one of those is also 11 a.m. on the road, so maybe that's the one they drop. But, so there are, like, they're playing good teams.
Yeah.
But... they've also got some chances to play like your Houstons, your Chicagos, and they just need to sort of be in cruise control and keep their heads above water there.
If you look at the end of the season, and this always matters because some teams will get tanking teams at the end, and like when it gets close to the end, it's like, well, if Denver wins out, they can do it. Here's how Denver finishes the year, their last 5 games. Well, six games. San Antonio, which might be a tanking team by April, even though they did beat Denver last year. But you even have to think like, okay, guard up. Like, don't let them sneak up on you again. At Golden State, another team that, by the way, who knows where they're going to be in the standings? Like, who knows what their season looks like? It could go either way. Indiana at home, that's a tough one. At Sacramento could be very meaningful. It could be a team that you're looking at. You might play in the first round, so that's interesting. Memphis at home and then at Houston. What's interesting about that is between San Antonio, Golden State, Sacramento, Memphis, Houston, and Indiana, I bet 2 of those teams are tanking by that point. I'm not sure which 2, but there's a chance that I don't think it'll be Indiana. But there's a chance that Memphis, Houston, Sacramento, Golden State, San Antonio, one of them just didn't work out. Like somebody has to be bad this year.
Man, that would be lovely. And I think if I could just pick before everything starts, I wouldn't mind them at all kind of gearing down at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If they could, if they're in that position. And of course, we'll be curious, man, that April 1st Minnesota game, how much will that matter? Will it matter a lot for the division, the top 3 seeds out west? No. But yeah, hopefully you're in a position where you're not kind of in 5th or 6th gear for those final 6 games.
And then the hardest part of the schedule to me is the month of January. And I don't know, no matter how you slice it, what date you pick, there's a lot of road trips. You're at Dallas for a couple. You play at Miami. You've got Philadelphia in there, Houston at home, and the Clippers, and Boston at home, Sacramento at home. And then you end the month with a pretty brutal road trip at Minnesota, at Chicago, at New York, at Philadelphia, and then you end it at Charlotte, which you would think, usually when I see it, Charlotte, Denver can win that. But then you go, it's the 5th game of a 5-game road trip following the toughest month of their entire schedule. That game's probably a loss just on pure exhaustion. So I think that the beginning part of the schedule is the easiest. The ending is going to be average. And the middle part, that month of January, is going to be the stretch that is tough. They play 17 games. That's more than every other day for the entire month. That'll be tough.
That's really tough. And I don't know if that's our most likely losing streak, but I'm not going to say losing streak because, you got to beat Chicago or something. But that's going to be a tough stretch there. And I think it's why you don't want to mess around in the beginning of the season when you have a chance to pick up some easier ones. So hopefully that's what they do.
By the way, the Nuggets are always good in January. Jamal Murray's always good in January.
That's a really good point.
So
it's usually when they've sort of found their form.
Yeah. And All-Star voting is, wrapping up. Let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk about longest win streak. We're going to try to predict where that could happen on the other side.
Man, that's awesome. But before we do that, we got to tell you about the best way to prepare yourself, your house, your roof for all the adventures that Colorado has to offer. Play the noise or the sound or can you even do it on this one? Yeah, it's Red Hawk Roofing, Denver's best roofers and our best friends in the whole wide world. They've joined the DNVR team. And here's why you should consider their services. Well, the quality materials are a good start. The decades of experience doesn't hurt. I'm a big fan of the quick response time. And of course, these are Colorado's best estimators and contractors. Fun part, they're huge DNVR supporters. They like this show. They watch this show. More importantly, they like our Denver Nuggets. So as far as small talk goes with folk who are kind of in and around your home or your business, this is on the fun end. Free no obligation roof and property inspections, free in-depth photo reports for all inspections. You're not really safe from the hail just because you see that beautiful sun in Colorado. Coloradans know this. You can't always see how bad the damage to your roof is from the ground. That's why you got to get roofers up there. You got to get Red Hawk Roofing up there. Support your local teams by supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921 and do tell them that DNVR sent you. The schedule is out. If you wanted to be a real sicko, you could just start really keying in on the games you think they're most likely to win. The games where maybe they're going to be exhausted. Maybe you want to stay away. But I'm actually more excited about the games that you feel great about, because then you can pull up Bet365. You can put your money where your mouth is. At Bet365, they don't do ordinary. They believe every sport should be epic. New customers can choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 to sign up. Deposit $10. And then comes your choice. The bet and get offer, place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets. Or option number 2 is a first bet safety net offer. Place a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. It's that easy. You do have to be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
We're back here. Hit that like button for us. Help us grow the show. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? It helps us out a lot. Subscribe. You can even set alerts for the shows you want to hear about, and it'll give you a little pop-up notification. All right. I love a comment that I saw in there, and I think it was James Davis, who says, which part of the schedule will Coach Malone complain and then say he's not complaining about it. This is Michael Malone's best bit.
Yep.
There's, no excuses from us, but if you look at the schedule. So I think it's just going to be the month of January.
The entire month of January?
I think it's the entire month, and it's really going to be that road trip at the very end of it, at Minnesota, at Chicago. I think those are going to be the ones that really get to him. Oh, by the way, how does that start off? The home games against Philadelphia and then Sacramento, who he hates, right into a 5-game losing streak. 3 of those games, four of the games in that 6-game stretch are on national television. I didn't notice this. This part sucks. The toughest part of the schedule, and they're all on national television.
Oh yeah, that's a good pickup there. That's a really good pickup. I'm trying to find the one. Isn't there one where they go from Portland to New Orleans?
Oh yeah, there was one at Portland at New Orleans. You literally, it's in December, right before Christmas actually. They're going to have to fly over Denver to get to New Orleans.
I bet you 5 real life bucks he mentions that.
Yeah, he'll mention that one too.
That one for
It
sure.
is also kind of dumb that they play Phoenix on Monday the 23rd and then the marquee game on the 25th of Christmas. It's just so weird that game is supposed to be big, and yet you actually play each other 2 days before.
Yeah, I don't like that at all, actually. And people won't notice that, not on national TV, but for respective fan bases, I actually think that's going to take a little bit of wind out of the sails of the Christmas
I'm going to bring back an old memory.
Yeah.
Do you remember before we were doing lives, back on the Denver Stiffs days, you and I?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we would record a pod and then it would end and we'd be like, oh shit, it didn't record or something. And you'd have to do it the second time.
Yes.
And it was always 1,000 times
that's
worse.
Exactly
we
what
haven't had that. Now that we're live and now that we have Kale in our corner, we don't ever have these things happening. But that used to happen, not all the time, but something.
Right.
That's what it's like when you play that game. And then it's like, all right, now you need to do that same thing, but more intensity.
Especially because they're going to catch them at home on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Watch them be a well-oiled machine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now go to Phoenix, do it again. No thanks.
Yeah, no
it's
thanks.
Christmas. I miss my kids.
Yoke's like, it's not even my Christmas.
It wasn't last season, but 2 seasons ago, didn't they have a home and away back-to-back against Portland on back-to-back days?
That is similar now, though. They have that for San Antonio. They play at home against San Antonio on Friday, January 3rd, and at San Antonio on Saturday, January 4th.
Right.
Yeah, what?
Which they're doing with Phoenix again on Christmas. And then, of course, there's the actual series games this year. They're at Dallas for 2 in a row in January, and then
At Oklahoma City.
At Oklahoma City. And New Orleans as well.
Home against New Orleans and home against Portland for a back-to-back.
Those are
and
nice.
At Memphis. So is that 5 or 6 times they have the 2 games in a row at home or on the road. That's interesting. The longest road trips, there's 2, right? There's 2 5-game, January 5th through, 5-game, January 25th through February 1st. That's not that bad, actually, a 5-game road trip. Do you remember? There used to be 7 and 8-game road trips. So 5 games is tough for sure. But
Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised by that. Where is it again? Sorry, I just got
January
lost.
25th through February 1st.
That's right. Yes.
And then if you look at the homestands, they do have 2 5-game homestands, which is great. November 2nd through 8th, and then March 24th through April 2nd. So that's a little bit nice. We put together a couple things. Out of Towners Week, you put in that second one, 5-game homestand, the 24th through the April 2nd. So these are our Serbian friends or Australian friends, the people that, if you're going to fly across an ocean to get to Denver, not if you're coming from Wyoming and down.
Yeah.
But if you're coming and you're I got to get as many games, you identified that last stretch.
Yeah, so Chet, you're going to get a couple good stars you're going to get to see, at least one really good game, and then maybe a couple wins, right, if you're around long enough, which I think we all like. So you started off with Chicago at home. Hopefully you're winning that game, right? Then how about you're in town to see Giannis versus Jokic? That's always a treat. We've seen them.
Treat.
We've seen them live. We've seen them live overseas. It's even fun over there.
The only problem about the Chicago game, though, is Chicago is sneaky, one of those times where the arena is all Chicago people.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
Chicago, very well represented in Denver,
But you
sadly.
get Chicago, Milwaukee, you get Utah at home. So between Chicago or Utah, hopefully you're seeing a comfortable win.
Yeah.
Then you get a potentially very important game against Minnesota. This is on national TV. And then you close out against Wemby in San Antonio, which is an affordable ticket featuring a superstar as well.
We love affordable.
So I think that's your stretch, man. And come see us. The weather should be getting nice again. It should be a great time to come check out the great city of Denver.
That is a piece of this. Your other chance for the homestand was early in the year. I will say, if you ask me, do I like Denver more? Actually, Kale, I'm curious what you think. You had to visit Denver between November 2nd and 10th, or March 28th and April 2nd. So end of March or beginning of November?
End of March is almost guaranteed to be snowier.
It's way colder than you think. You're not actually out of it.
You're right.
You're not out
the
of it.
weather's
That's
not
like
getting nicer.
actually like end of March, beginning of April is our snowiest time of year.
But you might get the like 3 day straight of
70 degree
75
weather.
or something.
Yeah. And November,
But you might not.
November is guaranteed to like be cold and a bummer of weather, but you
But not
probably
snowy.
don't have snow.
It's not snowy. It's
Yeah,
just getting. It's actually not even that bummer of weather, to be honest. Early
Yeah.
November is like we're still in fall, basically fall mode.
Yeah,
And so-
fall in Colorado is lovely, but you're after the leaves at that point.
Yeah, you
so,
are after
like,
the leaves.
Neither of those are great stretches.
They're kind of the same.
Yeah.
To be honest, they have the same energy.
I'd probably pick November just because I think there's going to be less chance of travel complications because of snow.
So
Good
your
point.
November stretch, and maybe everyone's still playing too, right? Knock on wood, which you'd like this early in the season. But you'll get, if you came for that stretch, you'd have a chance to see Utah, Toronto, Oklahoma City, good game, Miami and Dallas.
Yeah.
So another good stretch as well. But beginning or end of the year is when you want to make a trip.
What about teams you only play early or late? What do you got?
So they're going to catch Utah 3 times before January.
So this is bullshit. When you get tanking teams early, it's the worst thing. Like they are going to play hard and everything, and they're not going to be getting weird. So that one kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. Utah, if you caught them in the end, it'd be like, oh yeah, they're probably.
And there's
apart.
something about Utah too. Like it's going to feel like they've played Utah 100 times.
Yeah.
And then Mini's the opposite. You get Mini 3 times after January. And again, all those will be on national TV.
I actually think that is great. I love the idea of like, again, they're doing a good job of building this Denver-Minnesota rivalry.
I do too, man. I think that's it's going to happen. So
Okay. We did the toughest stretches here. Most likely stretch for a 10-game win streak. I identified 3 times. Did you identify one?
not for a win streak. No, I had my.
So the Nuggets 10-game win streak, 5-game losing streak. That they almost feel even. You know, like you're not going to get a 10. Knock on wood. You shouldn't get a 10-game losing streak. But a 5-game one would be pretty massive, and a 10-game win streak would be pretty massive. I think the best bet for Denver to get a 10-game win streak is going to be early November, and you might even be able to, if you wanted to, extend this and just say, could Denver have a 15-game win streak to start the year? Don't think it's going to happen, of course. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Go ahead.
But you have home games against Oklahoma City and the Clippers. Again, tough games, but at home, and it's the start of the year. You go at Toronto, which it's always tough to travel, especially the East Coast, but it's not a back-to-back, and Toronto sucks. Brooklyn might be one of the worst teams in the NBA. At Minnesota is certainly tough, but you get 3 days off before that game. You're going into Minnesota well-rested, even though you've been on the road, and we all know Denver will likely take that game very seriously. So, yes, there's some games in there you drop, but is it crazy to think you could start that 5-0? Not really. And then you come home to Utah, Toronto, Oklahoma City, Miami, Dallas is tough, but again, it's a 5-game homestand. Denver's always the best when you get that long, extended homestand. At New Orleans, at Memphis, Dallas, Lakers, New York, and Utah. I'm not saying they're going to win all of those games, but you look at that and go, there's not an extended road trip in there, which is really what kills you, is when you play like 5-6 in a row on the road and they're tough.
I love that, man. And I know the win streak is the spirit of the question, but I'm almost thinking of like a 9-1, right? Or an 8-2 stretch. And there was when I first got out here and Denver was really starting to figure it all out, or like first starting to percolate, they got off to some hot starts to start the year, despite Murray not. Right. I remember one 9-1 start that just felt something about
like everything.
Like it gave them so much breathing room. I would really, really love that this year. I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath for a 15-game win streak.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. That stringing wins, cluster wins. This is a golden opportunity here up front.
The other chance here is if you go to February, we mentioned that Charlotte game, which is at the end of a long road trip. So that one's going to be tough. I don't want to just pencil that one in. And it's on the second night of a back-to-back. But you have Charlotte, who's not the best team. And then you have New Orleans twice at home, then Orlando. You go to Phoenix. Then you come home again for a 4-game. So you have a 3-game homestand and a 4-game homestand sandwiched by being at Phoenix. That at Phoenix game's obviously tough. You got rest on each side of it. But 7 out of 8 games at home with Charlotte on the other side, that's a moment where you can have a win streak.
That stretch I like a lot, man.
Portland, Charlotte, Orlando, New Orleans. Those are all winnable home games.
All winnable. Yep. And like, dude, the Lakers even at home, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I know that they're a better team, but like that's pencil that in for a win, dude.
You should win that one.
You should.
And then to end the year, I think there's a chance Denver just ends it on a win streak. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of your last 10 at home. They're not the easiest games. Milwaukee's in there, Minnesota's in there. Indiana and Memphis are in there. So it's not like the easiest, but it's also they likely will be favored in all of those games.
Oh, man.
So there's a chance to end the year on a 10-game win streak. Would you rather start the game on a 10-year win streak or end the game on a 10-year win streak?
Start.
I think so too, because it's like the momentum.
It's the momentum.
It carries you for the longest. Whereas you can have a 10-game win streak to end the year, then lose game one. And
Also,
you're like,
because then we spend a week on the show like, is this a bad thing somehow? You know, it's just not. It's just weird.
The best bar nights. These are nights where the team is on the road, but it's going to be a weekend. November 1st, they're at Minnesota. So right off the bat, should be a great bar Friday night.
That's right. You're going to want to go to Ballerina that night. You're not going to be able to. You know where to go.
Saturday, November 23rd, you're in town for Thanksgiving. Well, you're going to stop by the DNVR Bar because the Nuggets are at the Lakers that night on Saturday.
What a feast. Get full early. Get full early.
January 25th at Minnesota. That's a Saturday night. That will also be a great night to be at the DNVR Bar. January 31st, Friday night at Philly. At Philly should be an interesting one.
That's crazy.
Friday night game. And then Saturday, February 8th at Phoenix. That's another one that's just a Saturday night. So those ones are good nights to come in to be at the bar. I love this one that we did. Game time bargain bin.
I love this one.
This is the one where like you're not coming in. This is probably more for the people like we said that are coming from Wyoming or Kentucky or whatever.
Yep.
You're not crossing any oceans, but you are trying to find good value.
Good value. I like this.
Here's the good value. You hop on game. You didn't even buy a ticket. You just hopped on Game Time. You're like something's going to be available. November 2nd and 4th. This is early in the week. Utah and Toronto at home.
Should be very, very cheap. Should be very early. And like you can come get a great seat for what could be some sneaking competitive games. And like you do this with Game Time. Like Adam said, you wait. Because someone's going to decide, you know what? I'm not going to this game tonight.
That's right.
And you can be in their seat.
January 1st and 3rd. Now this is January 1st is New Year's.
Oh, that's true.
Ticket might be a little bit more, but it's Hawks and Spurs, middle of the week. I think it's a Monday and a Wednesday. I still think you can get a good deal on the Hawks ticket. And then lastly, February 3rd, 5th, and 6th. Nobody's traveling. It's before spring break. Flights are cheap. You want to catch 3 games in a row, and you get New Orleans, and Orlando. New Orleans and Orlando, if you want to know a cheap ticket every year, those tickets.
Also, sneaky competitive every time. The Nuggets play both of those teams. Jokic goes God mode against the Pelicans, as we all know. And then the Nuggets kind of can't beat the Magic somehow. I don't know what that's about, but
except for when they do with
except
a game
for when
winner.
They do with a game winner. So come be for that one. Be there for that one when AG somehow goes off for 30, 10, and 10.
Last thing I have on the schedule for you, statement week. We won't really know what this is till it happens. But right now, if I were to guess, you're looking at January 7th through 14th. Phoenix at home, at Oklahoma City twice in a row, Minnesota at home, Lakers at home. That is a 6 games in 1 week, in 8 days, I believe, or 9 days, and they're all bangers.
Bangers, dude. And you split with OKC, and let's say you take 2 of the other 3.
Like, probably par.
That's par, right? But it's also, this is going to be you playing good teams. Some of them are going to be on national TV. People are going to see this. This is a great time to build momentum. And as we've talked about, if you look at the sort of the Nuggets like rhythmic calendar, January is usually when they find something and turn it on. If they could come out of that stretch sitting pretty, I think we're all going to feel that might be our vibes week as well. It could go both ways, but what a statement they could make if they cleaned up here.
There are 16 back-to-backs, which is more than average, which is kind of a bummer, but, we'll have to see how they endure. Let us know in the comment section if you're on the live chat. Let us know here. If not, if you're watching later, let us know if what of any of the things we talked about most are interesting to you or whatever thoughts you have about the schedule. Again, don't send a comment that says the schedule's not that interesting. You don't have to let people know. You don't have to if that's your take. But otherwise, we are curious what your takes are, so let us know. Let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to move on from the schedule now, and we're going to ask a couple things. Nuggets more likely to be a 1 seed or a below 5 seed? We'll get to that on the other side.
We put that Jamal Murray post out, like Jamal Murray's best shots, and someone went, I prefer production over cool photos. You're like, all right, man.
Like, really? Wow.
Oh, wow.
How noble.
Well, yeah, that's not the exercise. Speaking of exercise, Colorado.
Should have been like, what was your favorite screen he's ever sat? Can you give me his top 10 best
yeah, exactly.
defensive stances?
Speaking of exercise, Colorado, we're falling behind here. We got to be our healthiest selves. And that's why we're excited to partner up with UC Health, who I'm sure is even more excited to have partnered up with Coach Prime, who wants to help you and other Coloradans be your healthiest selves. He is the new Chief Motivation Officer of UC Health's Ready, Set, Co Challenge. I'm not a buff myself. I will say Chief Motivation Officer, a very good title for Coach Prime. The goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. Part of that challenge is nutrition. So yeah, Nutrition Prime is here to help you set the tone and get you thinking about your choices, little choices about how and what you eat. As Nutrition Prime says, it's all about balance in the belly, baby. Ready, Set, Co is a statewide challenge. It's about getting us up. It's about getting us active. It's about getting us eating healthy again. If you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Co challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/ready-set-co. And while we're talking Colorado, you know what's Colorado? Toyota's Colorado. Toyota is also the official vehicle of DNVR. Why is Toyota Colorado? The new Colorado, the modern Colorado, and the old Colorado? It's their wide selection of vehicles with a wide range of functions and styles. Surely they have something for you, no matter how you Colorado. It could be a truck. It could be just off-roading in general. Maybe you're trying to get some work done. Maybe you like the smooth city rides in Denver, but you want a car that you also feel safe in when you take it up to the mountains. Maybe you're looking for low or zero emission vehicles. Again, no matter what kind of Coloradan you are or where you're headed, Toyota will take you there. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR and a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets.
You guys know, of course, you are all in the Toyota chat right now, which we always love. I forgot. I said we were moving on from the schedule. I got two more things.
Okay.
One, so people are asking about Philadelphia. They do come to Denver on January 21st. That is a Tuesday. It's a nationally televised game. So we'll see if we, get the Jokic Embiid matchup. And then they play each other again 10 days later in Philadelphia. This happened last year, if you remember. They were like right in a row, like 10 days apart.
Although both of them are on national TV this time.
Were they not?
I don't think they were last time.
They might have been. It's just that they maybe got flexed out because they were like, I don't know.
You know what? You might be right about that.
I don't remember. But. And then, as Kale reminds me, the most important day, we talked about Christmas, but we didn't talk about Orthodox Christmas, which this year is on January 7th. And who do they play on January 7th, Vogt?
Oh, let's see. They play the Boston Celtics.
Lucky break for you, buddy. What a lucky break for you. All right, so that one's a dub. That's cool. It's all right. That's a win.
It makes up for the 11 a.m. at Boston game that they've got later.
Do we have a Yokmas game this year? We don't know.
It's one of those in-season tournament games, so we won't know if they play that day or one of the other days.
I gotcha. Yeah. Oh, well, so if they don't make it, then the answer is yes. But if they make it to the knockout rounds, then no, because the 15th would be a non-elimination game.
I see.
It'll be one of those.
I also, not that, I don't know how much people care. They got a tough group in the...
Yeah. Nobody cares.
We can move on.
It is kind of hilarious.
There's my 2 cents on in-season tournament.
All right, I'm going to ask you a series of most likelies here.
Oh, no.
Okay, you're going to answer for me. Number one, the Nuggets more likely, in your opinion, to be a 1 seed or to be a 5 seed or below? So more likely to be the number 1 overall or to go on the road for round 1 of the playoffs?
1 seed.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think they're most likely to be a 1 seed, but I think they're going to be a top 3 seed again. Probably top. I mean, I'm not going to go lower than top 4 because that's what Denver does with Jokic, man. They are a top 4 team out west every year unless something catastrophic happens. So it's not that I think they're really most likely to be number 1. I think OKC is by a good, healthy margin, but I don't think they're sliding to 5. I just don't. I think the Nuggets' floor is higher than we realize.
I'm going to go the other direction and say 5 or below. I don't think either of these are likely. But 5, I think there's a world where the Nuggets have a good year and are the 5 seed. Not a great year, because 5 seed is not a great year. But this could be a year, and I've been around long enough watching the Nuggets to know they have an 8 seed when they won 50 games. That sometimes the difference between the 2 seed and the 8 seed is like 3 games.
I agree.
And this might be one of those years. When you just look at how competitive it is, I would not be surprised if Denver finishes in the 5 seed, 1 game out of the 2 seed, and that's just the way the breaks are.
Right.
Whereas if they were a 1 seed, I do think that Oklahoma City is going to, barring an injury, is going to push what I think Denver is likely to do this year. Again, they could do it, but I think that they're likely to go to the 55, 6, 7 wins. And I think Denver will be below that.
My true guess is I think they're going to be like the 3rd seed.
That's what I think too.
I understand the spirit of the question.
More likely, Jokic wins the MVP this year, or Jokic finishes outside the top 5 in MVP voting.
Oh.
Top 5. It's been 5 years since he did that.
I feel like I tripped myself up.
Maybe 7 years.
Because this is the one I was so sure on. He's more likely to win it than to be outside of the top 5.
So if we just go to the top 5.
Like for the next 3 years.
Who are the likely top 5 guys in no order?
Luka, Jokic, Giannis.
Embiid probably, assuming he plays the
yes,
games.
that's right. Embiid.
Shea. Tatum maybe is the 6th guy you kind of route out. So if Jokic gets bumped from that, it would probably because Tatum, Anthony Edwards, or somebody else elevated themselves into it. So I think already when you look at this, Jokic's going to have a hard time. Do they want to give him a 4th MVP? We know it's going to be tough. Embiid, if he's healthy enough to play, he's going to put up ridiculous numbers. That's just what he does. He puts up scoring numbers. Giannis is going to, if his team is good, he'll be there. Luka, I think, has the inside track now to get like the bump. Everybody's always 1 year behind of what, so he's likely to get a bump. Shea, we know, if they're the number 1 seed, that's a narrative. Boston, if they're a number 1 seed, that's a narrative. Minnesota, if they're a number 1 seed, that's a narrative. So I just look at it and I go, Jokic would have to miss like 15 games. That's really what it would come down to.
That's what I think. Because I kind of think one of the best ways to describe Jokic is that if he's out there, he's in this conversation. Even if he had like a subpar year, he's in this conversation. And he's like, that's the floor of Jokic's MVP candidate right now. And I would just be shocked if he would have to either miss games or intentionally try to not be in this conversation.
How would Jokic finish outside the top 5 without a major injury? I think it is, missed 10 games, but there's no major injury. It's just he just didn't play all games. Of them. And they're like a 5 seed. And the teams that are like Dallas, OKC, and Minnesota are 1, 2, 3. Boston and Philly are 1, 2. Right, and he's the only one that's outside that. And
well, they're like 1-7 on national TV against Minnesota, Boston, Philly. Like they lose all those games. But this is kind of the point. Like Jokic's just gonna be in that conversation. Yeah, he just is.
I think you're right. I think he's more likely to win, but I think both are unlikely. Jamal Murray makes an all-star team, or Michael Porter averages 20 or more points a game. I don't think this one's that hard.
I think Porter. I'm gonna go with Porter.
Porter could have 20 points a game this year, and it wouldn't even feel that different.
That's a good point. It's just hard. It's just hard to have 3 20-point per game.
It is. It would happen more often than it does. Yeah.
But the path to Murray doing it is really, really difficult. He just has to leapfrog a lot of guys right now.
I wonder if there's like voter whiplash you get because everyone's so low on Jamal right now that I wonder if him just being slightly better than ever.
I know.
And people are like, "What a surprise!"
Yeah. That's so true. That's
and they like almost overstate because your expectations were so low.
Everyone starts picking Denver again.
Would you more likely that Michael Malone gets fired during the season or extended during the season? It's kind of that time.
It's a great question.
This one's uncomfortable. This really just makes you think, like, how do you think the Nuggets season's going to go?
There's no way he's getting fired this season.
Not mid-season.
Not mid-season. No.
And there is a world he gets extended. Again, he's probably looking, Malone does study the schedule. He's probably looking at it and going, like 12-3 is not off the table.
So right around here.
Yeah. And like then your agent's calling and is like, hey man, like when are we extending this guy? Look at their number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Right before they play any road games. I think it's extended as well.
Someone just asked if I live in your attic. Nope. I used to.
What an interesting question.
I have an apartment now.
Just an interesting one.
I wish you had lied and said you did just for the vibes.
This one is a ridiculous one. Is it more likely that we make a DNVR shirt about Julian Strother or about one of Zeke, Vlatko, Hunter, and DeAndre?
All right.
Basically the field not of guys at Strother's level or below Strother's level.
I'm going to say Strother. I'm taking Strother over the field, dude.
I'm trying to imagine what would happen for us to take a Zeke Naji shirt. That would be the greatest upset in the history of upsets.
The one we would...
The Piano Man.
The one
we made a Faku shirt, so like...
That's so
it's
true.
not crazy.
That's true. Yeah, but...
Do you want to know something about that shirt? That shirt
Didn't sell great.
The Tiny King shirt, El Mago. It shrank so much in the wash, it doesn't fit me anymore.
No.
So I had to give it away. It was pretty sad.
I could see a Vladko shirt though.
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
could too.
I could see Vlatko for
He's
sure.
our guy, friend of the show. Hunter, I mean, like, we almost made a Wancho shirt one year. Like, if like somewhere in November he has the Wancho game, you know, and it's like, oh,
First
my
of all,
God.
Wancho Land would be selling to this day.
It still would. You're right.
We would be selling to this day.
And then DeAndre Jordan, another just like wild card. You know, does he come on the show? Does he like want to do a fun shirt or something? And it's maybe that happens.
All right.
I think
I'm
the
going to
answer's
go with
Strawberry.
Strawberry.
I think the answer's
And
Strawberry.
I think Strother would want to do one too.
Strawburst might be happening.
Oh, nice.
All right, 10-game win streak, 5-game losing streak. What's more likely in your opinion this year?
5-game losing streak.
We'd all jump off a bridge if there was a 5-game losing streak. I don't think it's happened for Denver over the last like 6 years.
I know. There's really more of a joke about how they can't put a 10-game win streak together.
I know.
Is really how I feel. If you look at the schedule, they should be able to put a win streak together. I just don't. I've said this to you many times. I don't think the 10-game thing is happening until Jamal Murray is like an all-star level. Because at some point in 10 games, Yoke's going to be something less than superhuman.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jamal's supposed to just be superhuman. Just 2 or 3 of those times.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't know the answer to this.
What about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out version of Hunter Tyson? But instead of Mike Tyson, it's a bear. Is this good?
Yeah,
Is this good?
555-ish. Just said if you do make a Hunter Tyson shirt, it has to be him fighting all the different animals.
Yeah, so it's just like a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You know, he's Mac, and he's just beating the shit out of some grizzly bear. There we go. We got it.
Hunter or hunted shirt.
Hunter, that'd be incredible.
Harrison would walk out of the studio the day we dropped that. He just quits.
He's like, you know what? I hate to say it, but I think 5-game losing streak.
Me too, man. But I don't think either.
I don't think either of them happened, but 5 games is not that many, and there's some tough stretches that you look at and go, things go south. I could see it.
Dude, there's one for sure. It's the
road trip at the end of January where they're going to be already dead tired and they have to play nothing but tough teams on the road.
You also have this March stretch where you go at Boston, home for Sacramento, should win, could lose.
Could lose.
Phoenix at OKC.
Yep. So
Stuff.
it's in there. Whereas the 10-game win streak, there's one game in there. You're like, maybe they went on the road at Boston. And they're like, I don't know. Again, it happened last year. All right, let's take a break. At the end, we're going to end the week with a little bit of fun. And it might be a 6-week long. Oh, yeah, we don't have a break.
Yeah.
That's what you're
I was ready to make eye contact with Kale.
Dig it. No break. Our next segment. You know what, man?
What are we going to do?
I told you, man, I am on a mission.
Oh.
I have been so hard on Jamal for really a long time, years, to be honest with you, but really hard on him, and I think appropriately so for a while. But I've told you, it's time to turn a new leaf. The old season is out. We're in the deep off season as we turn the page. And it's time to remember all the good from Jamal Murray. And we're going to start by trying to make a list of his 5. How many is on the thing? 5, Kale?
5, yeah.
5
so we can
best
talk
shots.
about all of them, but for the social graphic, we're limiting it to 5.
So you made a list.
Yeah.
You determined what your top 5 were.
I think we did the top 5 kind of together, and then I fleshed out the rest of the list.
Doesn't that sound like a man that wants no responsibility for the backlash?
Doesn't want to own it.
Doesn't want to own it, man. I wouldn't have guessed Vogt to be that kind of guy.
I think it's really important whenever we do a list together to just be like, no one's responsible.
No one actually made this list.
You're please
It just
disagree.
happened.
It's fine. Okay, so I think just ball don't stop, pure hoops, just isolated moment. Didn't really lead to much. I kind of think his just straight up game winner in game 2 against the Lakers this year.
So you're going to start at the top of this list.
Oh yeah, that's not usually how we do it, is it?
We usually go honorable mentions and then 5 to 1.
Oh, you guys want to start over?
Can we start over this list?
You didn't hear that. All right. Do you want to start with honorable mentions all the way down?
Can we start with honorable mentions here?
All right, let's go all the way down.
Okay. This one I didn't remember, to be honest. This is the only one that you sent that I didn't really remember.
We've come a long way, and not necessarily in a good way, in the Murray versus Booker conversation. But a long, long time ago, 5 or 6 years ago, Jamal Murray just drops Devin Booker with a crossover and buries a mid-range jumper. Booker kind of trips over.
Doesn't matter. He cooked him. It's like the Steven Adams shot, to be honest. I think the Steven Adams is the same vein of shot, only that one was even better. You're right that this is Booker, though.
It's Booker. That's really why I have it on.
But if you are wondering how old this is, guarding the pick and roll, Aaron Baines.
Yep, that's the name I was looking for.
You know who's in help side down as the low man? Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, so the Suns were still in the trenches too.
Okay.
It's just a fun one because it's Booker. But now we're going to start to get serious.
Yeah, that one to me is a couple low, but the rest are great.
Starting the list for real.
Oh man, do you remember this?
So we're still playing, like there's still no fans in the arena here, all right? This is 3 years ago. The Nuggets trail the Suns by 3. They've almost put a little comeback together here.
But there's no time left.
But there's no time left. There's 3.5 seconds left. Jamal Murray is on an island with DeAndre Ayton's on an island with Jamal Murray. Step back 3 over DeAndre Ayton. He probably traveled. But he drains the 3 and it sends it to overtime. And Michael Porter Jr. is happy. Jamal Murray's happy.
It's a great one.
It's just a little, and we're still building this case for like Jamal changes this matchup. Jamal's the clutch guy. It's like a moment like this. It's a beautiful moment.
Can I tell you something that I love because I'm going through this whole list, we watch the clips. This highlighted, for the people that don't remember, and maybe we should leak out all of these or tweet out all of these shots because people can relive them kind of with us.
Stay tuned for that on the YouTube channel tomorrow for that as well.
That's right. Actually, that's what we'll do. But what was cool about this shot was Murray and Jokic, he hits it cold-blooded. It was a comeback, cold-blooded, no emotion.
Yes.
Because they have to go to overtime, and it was like, yeah, that's what we do, man. We hit tough shots.
All right, I don't know how many people remember this. I think it's so insanely cool.
I love that you have this one on here.
It's 5 years ago in Portland, Game 4.
Do you remember set the stage for this? This was following the 4 OT game.
4 overtime
Denver's
game.
down 2 games to 1.
Denver's down 2 games to 1. They've got to find a way. All right, so it's Denver's first real possession of the game. They get nothing. Millsap swallowed up. He kicks it out. Torrey Craig back to Gary. All right, Jamal,
Gary Harris
save us.
Post up.
Jamal is fading away. And when we say behind the backboard, we mean as true as a behind the backboard shot as anyone's ever taken or made in a playoff setting. We know Jamal Murray practices this shot a lot.
It honestly is the most behind the backboard I've ever seen a shot.
And we put this picture out on Twitter the other day. He's really behind it. And as we know, Murray practices that shot.
That's his shot.
Doesn't leave the gym until he hits this shot.
Everybody has a shot. Jamal Murray's is that one. And I'm telling you, when he shoots it in practice, it looks impossible because he's not doing like most people do, like right on the edge of the line, like you barely have to go over. He's so far behind it that it doesn't seem like physics make sense, and he drains it.
It was such a cool shot.
Look at that shot. He gets fouled by Mo Harkless too.
And again, like Murray's still cultivating this rep of like every now and then he does stuff like this on the biggest stage, right? And I just thought this one was unbelievable.
By the way, look at Mo Harkless's bandana. The NBA, remember they did this for like 1 year and it looked so cool, the ninja bandana, and they got rid of it. It's a cool look.
Do you remember how Jamal comes back from injury and Jokic says he's going to suck for about 20 games?
I do.
And we all laughed, but Jokic shouldn't laugh because he wasn't really
he's never kidding. He's always serious.
Do you guys know what happened roughly 20 games later?
Dagger. This was the start of the championship run in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this really does feel like the turning moment that season.
Yeah.
Murray is in Portland. The Nuggets are in Portland. They trail by 2. Time's running out.
Our old friend Jeremy Grant.
It's our old friend Jeremy Grant. Murray's got him on an island. Off the dribble 3 cash. Great call from the Portland broadcast booth in this one too.
Oh, yeah.
Murray with the 3 for the win, and he's got it.
Yeah.
So good at that.
Another A++. Jokic and Murray walk back to the Bruce Brown's hyped, Aaron Gordon's hyped, KCP's hyped, Christian Brown's running out, Peyton Watson's going crazy. Jokic and Murray are like, this is what we do.
Yes, and
no emotion
from the fan base perspective, it felt like, oh, they're back. We're back.
They're back, baby.
We're back.
And we were right. They were
right.
back.
This was a really, really fun one.
It's a great one.
All right, this one technically you will not find as a make anywhere in any box score.
Doesn't matter. It's
but
right.
We're counting it, and you know what we're counting. DJ Wilson.
The worst call in NBA history.
The worst call in NBA history. DJ Wilson is put on an absolute poster by Jamal Murray, and a crime against humanity occurs. The referee calls a charge.
Dude, it's the lamest. Noah Vonleh was on the team. I'm watching the highlight. Noah Vonleh is beside himself because of the call.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Some of the random people that you're like, oh yeah, remember he was on the team for like 10 games?
This is the epitome of like, even if you could show me exactly how, you don't call this.
Yeah. And it was bad call even besides that.
Even besides, right. Also, you can't do that. But this was truly the most vicious dunk of Jamal Murray's career. And we will always count it as a make in our hearts and minds.
Yeah, that's the ultimate rule of cool. If it's cool enough, you just leave it.
You just leave it, man. Don't mess with perfection.
Jamal Murray, we mentioned this one before briefly. This is an OG one.
Bro, 2018?
2018, Jamal Murray, Steven Adams on an island, breaks his ankles, step back. And this one, no one trips. There's no one near him. Their feet don't connect.
Yeah.
Murray just crosses him up, steps back, and Steven Adams folds and crumples.
These are in the Gary Harrises, right?
Yes.
Is it the Gary Harris game? It's possible. These are the same game.
Is this the Gary Harris
I think
game?
it is because it's
Holy
on TNT. It
smokes.
is. Dude, what a weird...
This is the Gary Harris game.
What a weird thing that I don't remember. I'm not certain it is. I think it is, though. Paul George is there. Yeah, I think this is the game. How wild.
Wow, that's really fun, actually. You know what, though? Because I remember...
Somebody confirm this for us. Are you looking it up, Kale? Are we sure?
Yeah.
So
no,
February...
It is the same game.
They're wearing
It's
the same
February
jerseys.
1st. It's the same game.
Same
the same game.
Because they're wearing those shorts, yeah.
That's
Last game
wild.
last game I went to as a fan before I got my full-time cred, and dude, A+.
Really? This was your last game
I was
you paid
down on
for?
the floor with people just like losing my mind, bro.
Dude, that's so funny to think back that all of that was the same thing.
I know, right?
Wow.
God, what a treat. These exercises are so fun. We've been doing this for so long, man.
I know. It is cool to have a nice like bank now
It is
of
wild that
memories.
this is the only shot on the list that was before I met you guys, which is like kind of weird. Yeah.
Maybe I have this one too high, but it's got to be on there. It's the playoffs.
No, too low.
Too low. You think I have too low?
Or too high as in it could have been a lower number.
Yeah, whatever. Here's what's up next. Game 5, the Los Angeles Lakers. Jamal Murray is struggling in this series. The Denver Nuggets are struggling in this series, and yet they've got a chance to put it away in 5 games. This one isn't the pure game winner, but Murray goes ahead and buries one. It's 106-106 as time's expiring. And I could have started this link a little earlier.
The Lakers go home.
The Lakers go home. Murray, Jokic, pick and roll, pull up, runner, cash.
Just an unbelievable game, an unbelievable moment.
And Murray's second game winner of
In
the
a
series.
series.
In the series.
And honestly, like the thing that's so cool about this, and I remember it vividly, the Lakers being stunned, not knowing what to do. Like
Yep.
it was literal where a team is like, is our season over? Like,
Yep.
Can somebody tell me what's going on? It's like, yeah, but your season's over. You're on vacation. Get out of here.
And it was like the second time in less than a week that Murray had looked terrible and then still did the shoe get out of here.
I was certain we were winning the championship, even though they played like shit the entire
me too,
series. I was
me
like,
too. I was
all
like,
right, well,
that's
they got
fine.
through that.
He's just
Monkey's
gonna
off the
do this
back.
thing
Here we
again.
go.
This one to me is like unbelievable. We're going to go back to the bubble for this one. One of 2 bubble clips.
Little MJ.
But this one is the MJ switch hands on LeBron, which in truth, man, is like as dirty of a switch hand layup. He's in the air forever. It's LeBron.
Yeah.
And to me, we've never seen Murray like this. Like he turns a corner, someone's there to contest, and he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It was so easy.
He floats, his body control.
floats,
I mean,
switches.
he looks like John Morant. You know, this is to show you what he looks like when he is in a different shape.
Yeah,
man.
and then he reverses it. LeBron's looking around like, how did he do that? And to me, this was just like one of the hardest and just pure like buckets we've ever seen from Murray on the drive.
It was a great one.
I love that one. I always think about it. The one-legged runner.
Do you remember this? I don't think this is top 5. We might have to redo our list because this was a good one, but
this list is unofficial. We're just talking you through now some of the best shots. This one maybe is up. It gets too juiced, but it's the one-leg runner to go up 4 versus the Spurs in Game 7, and this is kind of the first Jamal. You know, he had a terrible series until he didn't. But he hits the one-legged runner. They go up 4.
it's like a floater. It's like a 12-foot floater that he kind of gets to. You know the shot he does jumps off one leg and just kind of pushes it.
He's actually kind of far out and it's contested. I think it's over LaMarcus Aldridge.
And it's clutch. It's literally for the series. It put him up 4 with like 20 seconds left.
And the Spurs kind of melt down.
If you
from
miss
there.
that one, the pressure, you know, you're in the super pressure cooker and he hits it. And it's kind of fun to go back and remember, like, yeah, that was a series winner.
All right, so the Nuggets,
Oh, man.
we're going back to the bubble. The Nuggets are putting an exclamation point on the comeback in Game 7, which would complete their second consecutive 3-1 comeback in as many series. And
This one's juicy.
so, all right, you're going to remember the run out and Jeremy Grant's dunk and Jamal Murray screaming, go home. But right before the run out, he's feeling it. And off the bounce in Kawhi Leonard's face, He just drains a kind of fading to his right three.
That shot is so tough, man.
It's so tough. And he didn't hesitate.
And it was pure.
And it was always in, right? And then he just kind of looks at them. Then they get the run out, and then he runs back down and screams, "Go home." To me, that's like peak Murray stuff right there.
Hitting a cold-blooded, tough three that ends a team's season right in front of their bench is freaking awesome. Murray has a knack for it, man.
He has a knack for it.
Murray is so dope.
Let's go back to the bubble, and I put this one, in my mind, I associate this one with the LeBron one a lot. They're different, but I think of them kind of together. Chat's mentioned it's the 360 layup around Rudy Gobert, which is
iconic.
Iconic, as clean a 360 finish. And of course, like we were saying earlier, we hadn't seen Murray turn corners, see elite rim protectors, and go, I don't care that you're there. We hadn't seen him make it that easy, right? Yeah. Like physically, he was in amazing shape. Athletically, he was capable of so much. Maybe this is the ultimate example. The 360 layup was
it was exquisite. And honestly, that play sort of highlights what Murray was in the bubble, because it was not something he practices. It wasn't anything else. It was just like his body went where it needed, where he thought of it going. He had that control over his body while he was in the bubble.
It was gorgeous. And then arguably number one, we'll re-examine this list, but Jamal Murray made a shot. It is an actual buzzer beater on the road to beat the Los Angeles Lakers.
And almost as important as Game 5, just in terms of like, you go up 2-0, it's pretty much over. It's not over, but it's pretty much over.
And then also, like, you lose that game. Like, the Nuggets didn't look great in that series. They needed these moments. And it's the Lakers, and it's on the road, and it's a true buzzer beater. And the first of Murray's career in the playoffs. So, a very, very big deal.
Equally as important, when you hate a team and they give you a quote like, Jamal Murray made a shot, it's like, that's the ultimate. You know how people like to troll, like, oh, are you mad?
Yeah,
are you mad? That's the ultimate, like, what's AD, are you mad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a shot. Are you upset?
Yeah, no, dude, I don't think, like, that's the thing, is it's a moment that's enhanced by the presser after. That's like, that's a little cherry on top.
But, you know, me and Miroslav were at that game, and it was another, again, just one of those ones you'll never forget, because it was so stunning. Even as somebody that was there and obviously hoping for the Nuggets to win, it just never felt like it. You're like, no, man, this isn't going to go the way this one. And then they hit it, and you're like, unbelievable. And it happened at the last exact second. It just felt like. And the Nuggets had, at that point, were on the win streak right against the Lakers. It wasn't until they lost later the next game in the series, but they kept going like, they can't beat us.
Oh, that's right, Jake. That one was at home. Excuse me. It was at home, not on the road. I'm thinking of the game.
Which one?
I'm thinking of the Game 5. Or the Game 2 one was at home.
They both were. 2 and 5 were at home, yeah.
Why am I thinking of on the road?
I don't know. But the Game 2 one, that was the one where it was just like, oh, you got to be kidding. And like I said, I thought they ended up losing the next game to them, but I thought at that moment, I'm like, they're never going to lose to the Lakers.
Yes.
They're just going to always, they'll be down 100. They'll come back and win by 1.
I know I'm thinking LA, because that happens, and then I go to LA.
And
what I remember being out there was this overwhelming sensation of like, yo, we got to play the fucking Nuggets tonight. Like, of course we're not going to win.
Yeah.
And to me,
How are we gonna lose this time?
I remember it just feeling different over there.
That's what's the absolute best.
You did miss one shot on this that the chat has pointed out.
What's that one?
We're ready for this 3 over Devin Booker in the Phoenix series.
Was that after his shot?
Yeah,
it was a transition 3, if I recall, because it was a haymaker. See, the thing about Murray is a lot of his dopest shots, because we could add a bunch. That one's dope because of the moment that we're ready for this. Yeah. Because against the Lakers the previous year, he had like 4 of those, including culminating, I think it was Game 2, culminating with a 3 that he hits and then puts his arms out like this as it goes through.
Yes.
It's just like the perfect, like, Murray with momentum is like, it's a multiplier. He becomes 20 times himself.
Oh, man, that's a really good one, too. I think I remember him saying that more than the shot, but so that's why I forgot about it, but that's a great one, too. The fun thing about this exercise, and we'll do it for some of the other guys as well, is it's fun to remember that there are so many more than you realized. You know, there are so many great little moments that weren't a championship.
Lost Game 4,
but it all leads up, right? And like part of what makes the championship a culmination is just sort of having been here for all of these little moments.
Yeah,
and it's just, I think it's really. Time flies, man. Time flies, and I'm find myself in a deeply reflective place about how long we've been doing this, how long I've been here, and how much has changed in the Murray, Jokic, Malone era.
Yeah. All right, that does it. What do we got for Super Chats, Kale?
Yeah, let's rip through these.
Cedric, no vote, part 123 or 4. Too bad I got more. Your doesn't help. People probably hate Kill. For real, though, guys, why so many back-to-backs, and who is our biggest rival?
I don't. Everybody has a different biggest rival. I think Minnesota will be the biggest rival this year.
Minnesota's emerging, too. Cedric says, my show's growing, too. One love. How many wins total? 50? I'm going over 50.
I'm going to go 52. I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to say 53.
I reserve right to change this later on, though. We're going to wait and
Nice.
see.
Carlos,
time to make that prediction
thinking
yet.
of visiting Denver during that November 2 through 10 home stretch. Let's say I have $1,000 budget for game tickets. How would you spend it?
I like that question. I wish we had added it earlier. What is it? So it's November 2 through 10. I'm looking this up right now. Oh, that's the early one. Utah, Toronto, Oklahoma City, Miami, and Dallas. Well, what I will tell you is that Monday at Toronto, you can get in the door for very cheap. And honestly, you might even be able to walk down a little bit. Nobody's going to be watching that one. Wednesday, Oklahoma City might be shockingly more accessible than you think because while Shea is a big name, Oklahoma City, that game might be available. It's middle of the week. Miami on a Friday, I think that game is all right. Dallas is the one you're going to have to spend your money on. Dallas on a Sunday, that one will be expensive, I think.
Yeah, but maybe Dallas is one where you don't have to get the best seat because it's just going to be a good game. You get a good seat, you're in there for a good. It might be fun, man, to hop on Game Time for those Toronto Utah games and just see how close you can get while you're in town. So
the best of those games, though, might be Oklahoma City. I just think that the
so.
Thunder Nuggets, it'll be the second time they're playing in 2 weeks. I think that'll be a very interesting one.
I think every Thunder and Wolves game is going to be a war, more or less.
Yeah.
So. Josh Bonnet from Down Under. Patty Mills games
day,
on my
mate.
birthday and New Year's Eve. Oh, no.
There you go, man.
It's a great way to look at the schedule.
I do love it.
The Bubbles buzzer beater. More likely, Embiid plays in Denver or Brown 30-piece?
I think Embiid plays in Denver this year.
He better. Maddox, stretch of schedule that's biggest injury concern.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
We don't want to put that out into the world.
I just don't want to put it out in the world, but you could figure it out. Condensed schedule plus road games. That's the formula for that one. Guys, tomorrow, we're going to be playing golf. You're going to want to follow our Big Drive Energy account. If you don't know, we have a national show, national podcast on golf. Two of the funniest guys you'll meet, Spence and Mitch, hilarious dudes.
Great hangs.
They're actually drinking buddies with a golf problem, and they're hilarious, and we're playing. I'm on Team Mitch tomorrow. There's going to be 3 of us from DNVR on Team Mitch, 3 of us from DNVR on Team Spence. You can follow along. He's going to be tweeting the entire thing from the Big Drive Energy account. So go follow at Big Drive Energy, and you can stay up to date. See my best shots of the day, and follow us along to see if Team Mitch wins.
Or his worst shots of the day. Again, I'm in charge of social content. So we'll see. We'll see what gets out there.
Thanks for hanging with us all week. We're back Monday. We'll see you then.